sausage, bacon, and Jolly Farm steak, along with a ton of other toppings. The Burrito Shack in Murray opens up for breakfast at 7 a.m. Monday through Saturday. Try something different for breakfast, or come in for lunch or dinner and build your own burrito at the Burrito Shack in Murray.
Did you know you could be eligible for a rebate when you install a new propane water heater, a new propane range or cooktop, or a propane clothes dryer? You can even get a rebate for installing or replacing a water heater or your primary heating system. This great opportunity is made possible by the Kentucky Propane Education and Research Council, available to Kentucky residents only. There are specific guidelines and requirements, and funds are dispersed on a first-come, first-served basis. Contact Fortner Gas Princeton for details. 270-365-5545.
Kilgore Automotive services motorcycles. Find them at 129 East Main Street, Princeton. Kilgore Automotive, where your car is more than just a car. They now service motorcycles, too. Call 270-963-2853.
It's time for your SportsEdge.com Sideline Report with Todd Griffin. Talking sports and more here on 1580, 103.3 WPKY and worldwide at WPKYonline.com. Here's your host, Todd Griffin.
Good morning, everyone. Another Sideline Report is on the air from 1035 West Main Street in Princeton. We're live in the studios this morning, and we have Scott Brown with us and Michael Fralix in the studios with us. Good morning, gentlemen. How's everything going?
Good morning. Just fine.
A little bit on the rainy side this morning, but glad everybody could come over and be on the show. And Michael Fralix, a longtime Caldwell County basketball standout, Western Kentucky basketball standout. Anything new in your world the last week or so?
It's been a pretty hectic year. I just started that new job at Livingston County Middle School and coaching with Chris Green over at Livingston Central. I just got married on February 2nd. Finally found a girl that would put up with me long enough to keep me. Leanne's good for me. She's got two great kids. Walker's 2 and Macy's 4, so I'm blessed. So yeah, it's been a big year.
And Scott Brown coming in at the last minute, making it into the studio just in time for the sideline.
That's me.
You had it timed out perfect.
I know it. That's me. Get right here in the nick of time.
Lots of stuff going on your SportsEdge.com. Noticed a lot of content in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's picking up. Basketball postseason's around the corner. I heard you talk about wrestling. The region wrestling this weekend. So your winter sports are kind of winding down, and I think this year more than any other, a lot of people itching to get on the baseball and softball diamond.
Oh, absolutely.
A lot of chatter about baseball and softball this year as well. So it has been busy, but wouldn't have it any other way.
A lot of things going on in the sports world, and we're going to talk about them on the Sideline Report today. Need to get to a break right here, but we'll be back with Michael Fralix and Scott Brown on the Sideline Report.
Since 1978, Perry's Floors & More has been selling, installing, and servicing homeowners throughout Western Kentucky with quality flooring and workmanship. Perry's Floors & More carries luxury vinyl plank and luxury vinyl tile, carpet, window treatments, and more. Brands like Mannington, Shaw, Tarkett, Beaulieu, and Flexitech. Quality brands, excellent customer service combined with 40 years experience is why they say you can walk on our reputation. See Bill and Lucy at Perry's Floors & More, 127 West Market Street, Princeton.
At Penny Ryle Electric, we're helping to develop the stars of tomorrow today. Penny Ryle Electric will present 14 $1,000 scholarships to let students in our service area shine to their fullest potential and become guiding lights for future generations. Scholarships will be awarded to students enrolling in 2- or 4-year college programs and vocational and technical training. Scholarship applications are available at each of our locations, or you can download it at precc.com. That's precc.com.
Herb Hayes Furniture, always the best.
Listen, this will have to be our little secret. Herb Hayes Furniture Mattress has their President's Day sale items already tagged. Don't miss out on the opportunity to get a jump on great deals on your favorite brands like Ashley, Liberty, England, and Lazy Boy. They have special financing too. Buy interest-free for up to 24 months. Herb Hayes Furniture and Mattress, where you always get the best selection, the best furniture at the best price on the Boulevard in Hopkinsville.
Herb Hayes Furniture, always the best.
We're back on the Sideline Report on a Thursday morning at 1580, 103.3 WPKY. Again, Michael Fralix, Caldwell County and Western Kentucky basketball star, now coaching at Livingston Central, in the studio with us, as is Scott Brown of your SportsEdge.com and WKDZ Radio. Want to tell you about Dave's Deal of the Week at U-Ride in Princeton. It's a 2006 Chevy Silverado. White extended cab, just $7,500. See Dave for details at U-Ride in Princeton. That's U-Ride, 310 Marion Road, Princeton. Telephone 270-365-3215. Well, really proud to get Michael Freliks and Scott Brown on the show this morning, and lots to talk about. And Michael, first of all, the Freliks family, when you start going through the Caldwell County record book, it shows up a whole lot, and by my count, probably around 12,000 high school points and counting scored by a Freliks.
Yeah, I mean, the Freliks name is pretty rich in history when it comes to Caldwell County basketball, all the way back to Fredonia and even with Caden now at the present. So, we've been fortunate, and, Freliks is a big name here.
Yeah, it shows up a whole lot, and like you said, even going back, Earl had a lot of points at Fredonia, and then you've got all kinds of family members that are on that Caldwell County scoring list for 1,000 points or more.
Sure. I mean, that's what everybody, when they see that list, they always have comments or have, they come up and say, dang, Frelikses are everywhere. So,
have you ever gotten confused for someone else, or someone else get confused for you? Because I'm sure you and Matt at some point may have, some people have thought, well, was that Matt or Mike or any of the others?
Well, when I was coaching Matt here at Caldwell, a lot of people thought he was my son.
Yeah.
So that's what we ran into most of the time. But, Caden, people tell me he plays like me. So, you see that resemblance in all of us. And no, but Matt was usually my son when people ask questions.
I was going to say, it depended on which story you read, whether you guys were father and son or cousins or brothers. Yep. Or whatever. So that was always interesting to see what somebody was going to write about. But you're second on the all-time points list at Caldwell County with 2,896 points. The only person with more points is Matt Freliks.
And I was fortunate enough to play a big part in that. I started coaching him his sophomore year. And I knew he would probably get close because he had a good 8th grade year, a good freshman year. And then he blew up his sophomore year. So I was just proud to be a part of it. It's always good. Records are just there for temporary anyway. And if anybody's going to beat my record, I'd rather it be somebody in the family.
Well, one of the biggest things I remember from that time, though, is, Matt was a prolific scorer just like you were. But you guys were trying to, play team ball. Mm-hmm. I mean, it could have been get Matt the ball and let him score 50 every night, but you guys were trying to share the ball and ended up having a really good team.
Yeah, I mean, that's the hardest thing. Even today, you try to teach kids, what you want to do is you want to play for the guy next to you. If you're not doing your job, then it's not you you're hurting the guy next to you because he has to do extra to make up for what you're lacking in. But I was fortunate to have a great group of kids up here that bought into the system, that bought into playing for each other, and they played extremely hard. And, I coach some really good kids here.
Thought we really had a shot at that regional championship that senior year for those guys, but man, Henderson was pretty tough, and I think you run into the same thing every year when you get to the regional tournament at some point.
Yeah, I think we won that district tournament in 2007. I think that's the last district.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I think that's the last one. Henderson in the semifinals played them tough. Matt fouled out there in the fourth quarter, ran out of gas, and that was a good year. I think we ended up 26-3.
Yeah,
it was fun.
One of those years had a real long winning streak, at probably the longest winning streak in school history that year. So, I mean, those were some fun times for sure.
I can remember the district tournament finals over at Hopkins County Central. They paused the radio station for about 30 seconds and just let you listen to the crowd.
Yeah.
And even all the college games I played in, that's the loudest I've ever heard a gymnasium.
Looking at some of the stats, you had 47 points in the game against Marshall County. I remember that. I think I called that game on the radio. That was then the single-game scoring record at Caldwell County. Dustin Cash got you a few years later, and then Matt equaled him one game and then beat him later on, and so the scoring record now 49 points.
That's right. I think that was senior night when I had 47 was Marshall County, and I think Matt did it against Webster County, but I knew Matt was going to come along and get a lot of them, and I'm happy for him. He's a good kid.
I think one of those games, your either junior or senior year, you outscored Trigg by yourself. I think Caldwell beat Trigg like 74-36 or something, and I think he had like 37 or 38. I think Trigg didn't score in the first quarter. I think it was like 30-0 after one quarter. That's when Trigg was terrible.
I remember that game. Yeah, Caldwell actually started the game on a 33-0 run.
Yeah.
It was 32-0 after the first quarter.
I do remember that game. Yeah. Yeah, that was nuts.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like Trigg was bad that year either, really.
No, they were.
Oh, well, okay.
Yeah, they were bad. that was back in that early 90s when they were making the switch, coaching change. Mike Wright had just took over. That was the same team. They went to Marshall County, and Marshall County kept their starters in. They wanted to get 100 points. And, if you know Mike Wright, he could be kind of stubborn. It was 94-32 going into the fourth quarter. And he pulled the ball out and ran a stall so that they would not get 100 points. And when the game was over, they only got 97. I'd never seen a losing team, though, pull the ball out. But he was trying to make a point with his team, too, that, starters should never be in the game up 50, and they were,
right.
For whatever reason. Like I said, they wanted to get 100 points. But, yeah, he pulled it out and ran a stall that year. That's the same year, though, that they fell behind big to Caldwell County. Just not a good year.
Looking at the stats, we mentioned it's all through the Caldwell County stat book, but here's one thing people might not know about Michael Fralick's is that you're first on the career assist list with 481 assists at Caldwell County.
Yeah, most people don't realize that. I mean, most people back then considered me a ball hog, or I shot it all the time. But I was fortunate to play with some good kids. I had some good teammates, Donald McGregor, Fort Wayne Branch. Fred Robinson. We had some good kids, and I played for a great coach, Coach Robin Scott, and we had some pretty good teams. Just never could get over the hump in regional tournaments, but we competed.
You started your career in the middle school, right? You were a middle schooler playing high school, and if I remember right, in '88 Caldwell wins. Michael Gray,
Yes.
But there was another guard, David Aarons,
yes,
who moved away at some point. If he doesn't move away, do you guys have anything for those Lyon County teams in 90 and 91 maybe? Because he would have been a junior and a senior those 2 years where Lyon County went to the region championship both years.
Those Lyon County teams are really tough.
Yeah.
They had a stretch there where they were really, really good. Aarons was a great shooter, and he was a good ball handler, and I think he could have maybe pushed us over the edge a little bit.
Yeah.
But, I think he would have made a difference.
Yeah, I thought you two were the difference. Everybody, talked about Michael Gray at that time, and he was really good. But, I thought you guys played really good together. For him to be a freshman, and I think you were a seventh grader maybe playing, or an eighth grader. Yeah. And then you find out he moves away, and it's like, wow. I think went to Bourbon County, if I'm not mistaken.
I think it was Bourbon County, yeah.
Thinking back to those times, though, didn't you start your career at Butler Gym? Didn't you play as an eighth grader down
there?
Yeah,
at Butler, yes, sir.
So it's been that long that, it's been a while for all of us, I guess.
My first actual start, I think, was in the King of the Bluegrass.
Oh, wow.
When we were playing up there.
Do you remember who you played up there?
I think it was who would eventually be my teammate, Mark Bell at Louisville Ballard.
Oh, really?
Allen Houston. I think we played them up there, and that was my first start.
And also, getting back to the stats thing, you're eighth on the all-time career rebounding list at Caldwell County with 545. So congratulations on all. Like I said, the Fralick's name shows up a whole lot when you look at the Caldwell County record books, and it shows up a bunch when you look at the Western Kentucky record books. If I'm not mistaken, you were the all-time three-point leader when you graduated from Western, right?
Yeah, I was when I graduated, and then I think Winchester came along and broke their record. But, had some good years at Western.
Be fair to say that when you were in high school, you were more of a slasher, scorer type, and then when you got to Western, you became more of a shooter, that three-point specialist?
Yeah, I was able to get to the bucket a lot easier in high school. You take that transition, get to the next level. The kids are quicker, they're stronger, they're bigger. So I wasn't able to do that. And plus, Coach Willard wanted me to be more of a shooting guard, two-guard type. So, I had to make that transition as far as the speed of the game and adjusting my game a little bit as far as becoming just a shooter.
Well, and I wanted to ask you about Coach Willard because Ralph Willard had a great run there at Western. I think you guys played in, 3 NCAA tournaments while you were there, which is a pretty big deal. But, man, if he would have stuck around, I think he was building something there, and it just wasn't meant to be, I guess.
He was a lot of fun to play for. He was tough on you. He expected – he was disciplined, and he expected you to be disciplined, and he expected a lot out of you, and he was very vocal about it. He didn't hold anything back. But I think he really was going to do something special there. But, as all coaches do, they see that bigger position and they think they need to move on and go try something different. But, he's probably my favorite coach that I've ever played for. He taught me more about basketball than any coach I've had.
Speaking of the NCAA tournament, what are some of your memories from all those games playing in the big show?
Well, there are some good ones and some bad ones. I remember my freshman year being Mark Bell fouls out against Florida State in the Sweet 16, and it's a neck-and-neck ball game, and Coach Willard draws up something. I go out, throw it out of bounds. And we end up losing. That's right at the end of the game. And then, I had the shot against Michigan in the first round there that one year. So I've got.
And they still had two of the Fab Five on that team too.
They did too. I'm not sure.
It was Jimmy King and Ray Jackson.
Yeah.
They were still, they were the ones who weren't as good as the other three, of course.
Yeah.
So they had to kind of stick around because you know they weren't going to go high in the draft. But I looked some of the things up last night, and you know, your first NCAA tournament game is against Anthony Hardaway in Memphis.
Yes, sir. Anthony Hardaway.
Wow.
I mean, you know, the people you played against. You talk about that Florida State game. If you guys win, you play Kentucky.
We play Kentucky if we win that.
So was there any looking ahead, or was it at that point it's like, hey, we've already won 2 games, or kind of what was the mindset, especially since Ralph Willard had coached under Pitino for a bit?
Well, the thing about him is he did a good job of keeping you focused on the moment. I mean, whatever round we were in, when we played Memphis, we were focused on Memphis. When we played Florida State, we were focused on Florida State. So he did a good job of that. But the kids, as far as us, we were thinking probably, hey, we're fixing to play Kentucky if we can pull this one off. You know, we really wanted to, just fell short.
Yeah, that was the Kentucky team that lost to Michigan in the Final Four in overtime.
Now, they had Jamal Mashburn,
and Travis Ford, and
pretty good basketball team right there.
Yeah,
they were good, and Western was and of course that Florida State team had Charlie Ward and Bob Sura. Yeah. Who's the best college player you ever won against?
Probably Hardaway.
Really?
Probably Hardaway.
Yeah.
Talking with Michael Fralix, former Caldwell County and Western Kentucky University star, and former coach at Caldwell County, former coach at Lyon County, now coaching at Livingston Central. Scott Brown of YourSportsEdge.com and WKDZ Radio also in the studio with us this morning. And Michael, you mentioned Coach Willard there and how much he taught you about basketball. Are those things that you took when you became a coach and started using some of those things?
Yeah, like I said, I've had the opportunity to play for some good coaches, and Coach Willard being probably the best. You know, a lot of the stuff that he taught us at Western, some of the same stuff that I still use wherever it is that I'm coaching, as far as hard work, you know, being selfless, can't be worried about your stats. You got to do, you know, what's best for the team as a whole, and you know, it doesn't matter who does it as long as it gets done. So it's a lot of the same things that I've learned from him that I've taken other places.
Have you seen that basketball has changed any since you played high school and then college? Do you coach any differently because of that?
I think the three-point shot's more of a factor now than it was when I played. I mean, I don't remember shooting a whole lot of threes when I was in high school, even though the three-point line was there. I think, you know, the mid-range jump shot's about dead. Nobody shoots it anymore. It's either a layup or a three-pointer. So I think that's the biggest change.
God-awful running one-handed shot in the lane.
Yeah,
I can't stand that.
Can't stand the floaters. Huh?
No.
Well, I've never understood.
Because they're not done right.
No, they're not.
You know, that's the thing. There's some who can do it, and I've seen some people who have done it. But for the most part, it's I don't want to absorb the contact going to the rack, so I'm just going to heave something up in the lane, and you know, those are the ones that clang off the backboard, and you know, it's like a train wreck from the start.
Yeah, aggravate you.
Yeah.
I've never understood the late game situations where guys want to run up to the three-point line and jump sideways and shoot. Why not just pull up from about 25 feet and take your normal shot and let one go?
Yeah, I don't understand that either. It's changed a lot. That three-point shot's changed the game.
Well, let me ask you this. If you played in the age of social media, the way it is now, if social media was around when you played high school ball, blessing, curse, and do you feel like you still would have went to Western?
I think I probably would have seen it more as a curse. I think it's tough on kids now. You know, I didn't have to deal with any of that.
Right.
And even in my early coaching career, I didn't have to deal with any of that. It just came along as I was getting out in 2009. And, you know, social media is a good thing. I mean, you can keep in contact with people. But I think as far as coaches and kids, it's tough on them because they read that stuff. And it's easy to sit and type about somebody, you know, something negative when you don't have to tell who you are.
Fralix is a ball hog, and, you know,
I mean, you can remain anonymous. So it's tough on kids.
Yeah. Well, the thing about social media is it's great because you can, you know, get your opinion and your information out there, but it's bad because you can get your opinion and your information out there.
Right.
Michael Fralix and Scott Brown in the studio with us this morning on the Sideline Report. We need to get to another break, but we'll have more right after this on 1580, 103.3 WPKY.
Here's your WPKY Weather Edge Weather Center forecast.
The flash flood watch continues to be in effect through tonight. Showers and thunderstorms expected today with temperatures falling to around 50. 40% chance of showers overnight with an overnight low getting down to 21. Sunny skies tomorrow, but it's only going to be 29. Mostly clear tomorrow night with winter temperatures of around 15. Again, a flash flood watch through today. Showers and thunderstorms and temperatures falling to 50.
Your WPKY Weather Edge Weather Center forecast is brought to you by Great Wall Chinese Restaurant.
All the hype of the holidays, and in a flash, it's gone. But what doesn't leave in any hurry are the extra bills and expenses you may have tallied up this season. If the financial excess of the holiday season has you worried, visit ABC Finance. Start the year in control of your finances with the help of ABC Finance. We offer loans from $500 to $12,000, plus no payment until February. Apply online at abcfinanceonline.com or stop by our locations on Fort Campbell Boulevard in Hopkinsville and the Princeton Plaza in Princeton. All the hype of the holidays, and in a flash, it's gone. But what doesn't leave in any hurry are the extra bills and expenses you may have tallied up this season. If the financial excess of the holiday season has you worried, visit ABC Finance. Start the year in control of your finances with the help of ABC Finance. We offer loans from $500 to $12,000, plus no payment until February. Apply online at abcfinanceonline.com or stop by our locations on Fort Campbell Boulevard in Hopkinsville and the Princeton Plaza in Princeton.
We're back on the Sideline Report on 1580, 103.3 WPKY. Michael Fralix and Scott Brown in the studio with us today. Basketball action coming up tonight at the Cab. The Caldwell County girls will host Dawson Springs. That's varsity first at 6 o'clock. Airtime 5:45 tonight right here on 1580, 103.3. And we will have the live video stream at WPKYonline.com. And then tomorrow night, Scott, you'll be back in Princeton. A big doubleheader with Trigg County. It's homecoming. Guys will play first at 6, and then the girls' game after the homecoming ceremony. So, Scott, as a broadcaster, I know you just love seeing homecoming coming up on the schedule.
If it's done right, I don't mind it. But I've been to some homecomings where the homecoming ceremony itself lasted longer than the game, and that's, you know, it's funny. We talked about how the game of basketball has changed. Homecoming has changed at these schools also. You know, used to, it was a big thing. You know, girls had the big corsages and the guys dressed up, and you look forward to the dance. And that some schools don't even have a dance anymore, you know, and you don't see hardly anybody, you know. Used to, if you were a florist, you know, if somebody died or homecoming, that was your big time. Yeah. And now, you know, I don't even know that there are many florists who do much for homecoming. Probably still in some places, but it's just interesting how that has evolved and changed over the years.
Got a few other sports notes want to pass along real quick. Emma Talley shot 1 over, a 74 at the ISPS Handavik Open in Victoria, Australia. 1 over sounds pretty good, but that's got her tied for 97th right now. The leader is at 8 under over there. Of course, it's almost like she's in the land of the future because it's tomorrow already in Australia. So 17-hour time difference. She has a 1 o'clock Friday afternoon tea time in Australia. That's 8 o'clock tonight here.
Right, it's a nighttime tea time.
So it's really confusing. Golf Channel has TV coverage at 10 o'clock tonight. Hopefully Emma can make a little run and maybe a little.
She did last year, if I remember right. Kind of started slow. That was one of her first tour events, and then she kind of came on. And I remember she had a lot of TV time at that event as well, and I think that really kind of helped put her on the LPGA map because if you're not one of the top Asians or one of the top people that the LPGA market, you know, and they've got several that, you know, the Corda sisters and you know, that aren't as good, but they're marketable. It's tough to get TV time, and she did. I mean, she got quite a bit last year in that tournament, so hopefully she'll turn that around and come back strong.
Well, I can guarantee you that if there's a hint of a possibility that she's going to be on TV, my dad's going to be looking for her.
A lot of people
he's her biggest
fan.
Yeah.
Well, I want to mention Ralph Sharp, man. He would have been fired up for Emma Talley playing and missing his updates on Twitter and Facebook, and he was a longtime listener of the show and always giving me tips, and the tip was usually have Emma Talley on. So last year we actually had Emma on, and I thought I would go to work and Ralph would say, "Oh yeah, that was great. You had Emma Talley on." And I was like, "Hey Ralph, did you listen this morning?" He's like, "Yeah, you know, you could have Emma on again next week and talk." And I was like, "Okay, she can't be on every week, but."
Permanent guest host.
But she's done a great job, and the LPGA I think is really pushing Emma to kind of be the face of women's golf in America, along with a couple of other players. And Like we say, she's just got to get over that little hump there and move up the leaderboard, but it's so tough. Everybody is so good.
Well, and the LPGA is kind of in a quandary because, the Asian golfers are really strong.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And they've expanded the tour to include Asian, they take that Asian swing late in the year. Of course, they start over in that area too. So they want to expand that, but at the same time, they're afraid they're going to lose some of the United States base, and so they've got to find the people, the American golfers, that they can promote. And like I said, the Corda sisters and Tiger Woods' niece, Cheyenne Woods, is one that she could be 9 over, and they're going to show her, playing 3 or 4 holes because she's marketable. And so I think with some of the things that she's done behind the scenes, some of the charity events that she's done, I think you're right. I think they're looking to try and market her as one of the rising stars of the LPGA.
And one other thing, Eli Pepper got 8 more rebounds last night, and Lipscomb won by a bunch at North Florida. I was surprised to see that was the first time anybody on the team had actually won at North Florida. But they were up by as much as like 45 points last night, won by 37. I think Eli had 4 points, 8 rebounds, maybe 3 assists. He's up to 913 career rebounds now at Lipscomb. So, Michael, you can talk about this a little bit. Eli, when he signed with Lipscomb, said he went there because he wanted to play in the NCAA tournament.
Right.
Got to last year and played North Carolina. So.
Yeah, I mean, that's what you want to do when you play college basketball is you want a chance to play in the big dance. Or, I knew Eli was going to have a good career. I had the opportunity to coach Jake, which was his older brother. So he stayed in the gym with us quite a bit during practice, and watched him in his high school career, and he's absolutely exploded at Lipscomb, and it's been fun to watch, and I'm glad he got his opportunity to play in the tournament.
But how difficult is it, even if you're on a really good team someplace like a Western Kentucky when you were there? Lipscomb is really good this year. I think this is the best team they've ever had, but it's still tough to get to the NCAA tournament.
And you got to win their conference to get there.
Absolutely.
Probably.
I think we had one at large bid, and I think,
is that right?
I think the other 2 years we won the conference tournament. So it's tough. It's hard to get there.
But Lipscomb received votes in the AP poll this week. I think if you look at some of the other computer rankings, they're about 32 or 33, 34. So, if they don't slip up and, before the tournament, they could make an argument at some point that, hey, we deserve to be in there.
Yeah, I mean, if they're ranked 32 or 33, they deserve an at-large bid or at least a look.
I think every year when the bids come out and the power conferences get the bids, you hear the rumblings about they need to give more mid-majors a shot. They need to give more mid-majors a shot. Then they never do. But you have to think that's coming pretty soon because people are tired of seeing Maryland go into the tournament and lay an egg, or the Big Ten get 8 bids and go 1-7.
Yeah, somebody with a 6-10 conference record makes the NCAA tournament.
And boy, this would be a good year for that to finally come true with Murray, Belmont, even Jacksonville State. Now they won't get 3 bids. I get that, but it could be a 2-bid conference. You could let a Lipscomb get in even if they don't, and that brings up the old thing that if you win your regular season, that should be the automatic bid and not the tournament.
Right.
But you look a few years back, the A-Sun Conference had Florida Gulf Coast, I believe, that made the big run in the NCAA tournament.
Yep.
They were the champion that year, or they wouldn't have made it. But
knocked off Georgetown in the first round, went to the Sweet 16.
You look at those schools, and you're like, let's put those little schools, little being, not the majors, but put those teams in and let them have a shot because, those things are fun. I mean, to me, that draws more attention to the NCAA tournament than it does just, like you said, a middle-of-the-pack SEC or Big Ten team.
I liken that to classing high school basketball. If Lyon County were to go to the Class A state tournament, and I'm not talking all A, I'm talking the Class A state tournament, all right, and go to the state championship, there would be nobody left in Eddyville.
No.
That place would be packed. If Caldwell County went to the Class 2A state championship in basketball, there'd be nobody in Princeton. Everybody would be wherever they were holding that. And I think if the NCAA would let Lipscomb and the Murrays and get them in a few more times, they'd be surprised at how many people from Lipscomb are going to show up. And not only that, but, Lipscomb being in Nashville – you're going to have some celebrities show up at those games. And what better way to market your tournament than have, Vince Gill or whoever show up at a Lipscomb game that's being played in North Carolina or something.
Right. I was going to say that a few minutes ago. One thing about the mid-majors is they travel well.
Yeah.
And that's something that they need to start taking into consideration a little bit.
But those are things, those schools just don't get the opportunity. So when they finally get one, everybody's on board.
Yeah,
when they finally get one, they're paired against Duke or North Carolina, and
no, the NCAA selection committee says it doesn't do that.
Right. Yeah. There's no such thing as behind-the-scenes stories. That's exactly right.
But every bracket you see comes out, there'll be Kentucky and Louisville somewhere nearby, or
Kentucky Duke in the region final
every year.
Yeah.
If Western Kentucky makes it, they're going to be paired right there where Kentucky's going to be nearby.
Right. One of Cal's former assistants will be waiting in the second round, or for a couple of years it was Kentucky and Eastern Kentucky. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
But it's all coincidence.
Right. I'm telling you, and I've said this, and I still believe it to this day. Someone from CBS is in that room and says, if you put these teams and these teams here, here's the market share, and here's what we could draw for that game. And so if you're going to put Kentucky and Duke, we'll draw more viewers in the region final than we did if you made it a Final Four game. So let's put them here. And I think that's true because they don't give a rhyme or a reason, and it's private. Nobody can't just go in that room. I think there are some things like that behind the scenes that go on, and they kind of look at and say, hey, let's pit these two. Let's pit, Yale with a graduate rate of this against Florida State, who has the lowest GPA in the tournament. In other words, they're manufacturing storylines to do that, and I think that very much happens because it's an entertainment event anymore as much as it is a basketball tournament.
Oh, yeah. Speaking of the postseason, the 5th District had its draw, if you will, or its seating meeting, I guess, last night. And, Scott, that was pretty interesting.
I've seen a 3-way coin toss before, but they had to do it 4 times.
Wow.
It was odd.
It was very odd. There's that scene in Stand By Me where they're talking about the Goocher, where they flipped the same, and it was, oh my God, he went off the cliff and died or whatever because he had a Goocher. Well, they had 3 of them. Flip, 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 and it was the same. And then finally, Don Cottom of Lyon County had the odd flip there on the 4th time. So, Lyons girls are the number 1 seed. Trigg is the 2. And then the boys, Lyon and Livingston had already wrapped up 1 and 2, but Trigg lost the coin toss. They'll be 4, and that means Livingston gets Crittenden again in the first round. So in the boys' side, the matchups are the same as they were last year.
Michael, when you were at school at Caldwell County, was Lyon County the big rival?
Yeah. Lyon County was the one we looked forward to. The whole River Rats thing. Yeah.
Well, now that you're at Livingston, I guess Crittenden County is the big rival, and that's who you guys end up with in the district tournament now.
Yeah, I'd say Crittenden County is probably our biggest rival, even though that Lyon County rival is starting to grow a little bit between Lyon and Livingston. Crittenden's playing really well right now, and if we'd had our choices, at this time of the year, we'd rather play Trigg at this time. But
Caldwell went down to Crittenden County the other night and saw how well they were playing. The Rockets were up 12 in the first half before the Tigers kind of got things going there in the second half and was able to pull out a 79-71 win. But, there are a lot of good teams in the second region this year. To me, the depth of the second region has never been better. But you look at the top of it, and you've got University Heights, and you've got Maddenville, and then there's probably a bit of a gap between everybody else.
It's the same old faces every year. But the second region is a lot deeper this year. I think come tournament time, it's just going to be a matter of who's hot and who's not. You know, it's just going to be who's playing well and who has a good night or a bad night, I think. And it's going to be that way in the district tournament. I think anybody in the 5th district can win it. I think Crittenden has a shot. We have a shot. Lyon's probably the favorite. But I think, Caldwell beat Lyon, 31?
Yeah.
And see Crittenden plays Caldwell tough. So I think it's wide open.
I think in the 5th district more than any other district in the region, I think seeding doesn't matter as much as home court.
Right.
And of course, it's at Livingston this year, and I think that is the big X factor. Yeah. I think if Livingston knocks down some shots early and gets the crowd behind them, that is a tough place to go and play and win, and it always has been. Once they hit shots and get rolling, because I've never seen a place where making threes is as contagious as it is at Livingston Central.
Oh, it's really contagious.
Yeah, I mean, if Cameron Head hits a three, then man, Ringstaff's going to follow with one, and somebody else is going to follow with one, and I mean, it's just, you know, and I've seen coaches call a timeout after the first made three because they see it's coming. Timeout, you know, hey, let's not let them hit 2 or 3 in a row.
Michael, you guys have had a pretty good year, though, at Livingston, haven't you?
Yeah, I think we're 13-11 right now. I think most people picked us probably to finish last in the district. We lost a lot last year. I think, you know, early on we were rated probably the next to last or last ranked team in the region, but you know, we played a lot better than most people expected. The kids bought into Coach Green's system. You know, he's really big on that selflessness, playing for each other, and they bought in. And, you know, we're pretty well-rounded. We've got kids, you know, averaging 14, 12, 3 or 4 kids, double digits. You know, Max, our point guard, he's tough. So, you know, we're a pretty good basketball team, and I think if we can get high in the district tournament, we'll be hard to beat.
You guys got to the championship game of the All-A Classic regional tournament, ran into University Heights, and dang, just how good is Kiki Tandy?
He's pretty good. You know, we played decent with him first half. I think we were down 2 at the half. I think that's right. And then he comes out in the second half and just decides that he doesn't want to let us play anymore. He starts doing his thing, and then he starts shooting 40-footers and making them. So, I mean, what do you do? I mean, he's really, really good. Xavier's getting a good one.
I was going to say, to play major college basketball or just to go play college basketball at all, I mean, that's so tough to do. And you see these kids, and Kiki Tandy, I don't know if enough people looked at him before he signed. I'm still not sure why Louisville and Kentucky never kind of got into that.
He's a talented kid. I don't know either. He deserves, you know, he's earned what he's gotten. So,
like I said, I think Madisonville and UHA probably the top 2. Would be interesting if in the regional draw they get pushed to one side and might open up the bracket for somebody else on the other side. I think if I were handicapping the second region tournament with it being at Madisonville, I would make Madisonville a little bit of a favorite. But
you know, UHA and Madisonville played back in December, played at UHA. And Madisonville led for a good part of the second half. Grant Schaus benched KJ Crump in that game as point guard. And, of course, Crump's been hurt for the last month, and they're still winning without him. But they bench him, and it's back and forth. But Madisonville's up 3 with about a minute and a half to go, and Keshawn Casey fouls out. And he's the difference maker. UHA cannot match up with him. And when he fouled out, they started taking it to the rack, picked up some fouls, hit some free throws, you know, hit a big shot, and they win by 1. But you're right. I think if Madisonville has that on their home floor, I think they win that night. It's just a matter of who had it on their home floor. So,
well, I think if UHA does have one weakness, it's playing against size.
Yeah.
I mean, you force them to shoot it outside, you know, then you've got a better shot at beating them, like we did the first half. Just let them chuck it. Don't let them get in the paint because they like to get to the rim. But if you've got size, you can alleviate that stuff.
Well, Madisonville has that. Caldwell County saw that the other night. The Tigers played really well, took a lead to the fourth quarter against Madisonville, and I think played about as well as they have all year. And then it kind of got away from them in the fourth quarter a little bit, and people were like, well, what happened? And I'm like, well, Madisonville is really, really, really good.
Yeah.
I mean, and Caldwell County is just really, really good. So if you're a Caldwell and you're going to beat a Madisonville, you got to find that extra really good or try to catch Madisonville on a night when they're off a little bit. And I just think when you look at Madisonville, they got speed, they got size, they got the length.
They've got it.
I mean, you know, they slapped a press on, and Caldwell's 4 or 6 point lead went to a 4 or 6 point deficit really quick, and that was the difference in the game, about 2 minutes, where Madisonville just comes out and presses them.
Yeah, I mean, it's been fun to watch Caldwell County evolve over the season, though. I mean, they've gotten so much better from day one from that first game against Lyon County.
You know, another thing about UHA is and they make no secret about this, they gear their season for the All-A. They want to win the All-A tournament, state tournament every year.
Yeah.
I mean, they plan for that, so they do that this year. Well, you've got Madisonville. They're playing for the region title. That's the only thing that they're playing for. Well, I mean, district, but they're playing to win that region title. So now you're going to have to ask UHA's kids, now you've won this and you've basked in the glory. I got to get you back up and ready for this against a team that's going to be gunning for you. And there have been times where UHA's won a state title and came out and lost in the first round of the district to a good Hoptown or county team, you know, in the 8th district or in the championship. They only win the championship in a year they win the All-A state. And so First time that they've won that All-A state in 10 years. So I'm curious. That's always a mindset. And, you've been in some All-A schools where there's a little bit of a hangover after you lose in the All-A region because, you're all gung-ho for the All-A and then you lose, and now you got to come back and get back going again. And some teams are able to do it, and some aren't.
Yeah, and that's a tough thing as a coach. It's a tough thing to get those kids going again because they've invested so much emotionally into that All-A semifinal or that All-A final, and then when they're let down, it's hard to get them geared back up again.
We're talking with Michael Fralix, former Caldwell County and Western Kentucky basketball star. Scott Brown of WKDZ Radio and YourSportsEdge.com is in the studio with us this morning as well. We need to get to a timeout here on the Sideline Report, but we've got more coming up after this.
Here's your WPKY Weather Edge Weather Center forecast.
The flash flood watch continues to be in effect through tonight. Showers and thunderstorms expected today with temperatures falling to around 50. 40% chance of showers overnight with an overnight low getting down to 21. Sunny skies tomorrow, but it's only going to be 29. Mostly clear tomorrow night with winter temperatures of around 15. Again, a flash flood watch through today. Showers and thunderstorms and temperatures falling to 50.
Your WPKY Weather Edge Weather Center forecast is brought to you by Kentucky Home Realty.
Get spruced up with quality mulch from Bashir Sawmill on Dawson Road in Princeton. We all know that buying mulch by the truckload saves money, and it's only $25 per load for dark natural mulch at Bashir Sawmill on Dawson Road, 1/2 mile past City County Park. Bashir Sawmill also buys standing timber and timberland. Give them a call today, 270-365-2330. That's Bashir Sawmill, family owned and operated in Princeton for over 50 years.
Sideline Report rolls on a Thursday morning at WPKY 1580 103.3 and online at WPKYonline.com. Don't forget about Dave's Deal of the Week at U-Ride here in Princeton. A 2006 Chevy Silverado White Extended Cab, $7,500. See Dave for details at U-Ride in Princeton. That's U-Ride at 310 Marion Road in Princeton. Telephone 270-365-3215. Michael Fralix and Scott Brown in the studio with us this morning at WPKY on the Sideline Report. And we were just talking about the All-A Classic, and it looks like Caldwell County is going to be back in the All-A Classic after a year out. And, Michael, you were saying that Webster County looks like they're headed back, too.
Yeah, they were saying at the meeting last night that both teams are coming back to the All-A. So, they're both in and out, every other year, so it's kind of a circus a little bit. But I'm wondering now if you're some of these Class A teams and you're playing against UHA every year and these teams are coming in and out, is it not better just to go play 2A? I mean, I don't know if you can or can't.
Well, the 2A stipulation says if you're not playing in the All-A, that makes you able for, and I guess that's a question for Jeremy Tackett over at Union County, but if you're not in the All-A, and again, I guess it's the wording, are you not eligible for the All-A, or are you just not playing in the All-A?
Yeah, that'll be interesting to figure out what they want to do. The All-A, though, it seems like it puts a lot of strain on schools because, it's a year-to-year thing, and you're trying to set your schedule up, and I'm guessing if you're a coach, and Michael, you can tell me that you're trying to set that thing up for a couple of years in advance, and now you're telling me one year I'm in the All-A, the next year I'm not. Right. That's got to be tough.
It's tough because you have to worry about corresponding dates, and they were doing some scheduling last night, and if you don't know from year to year if you're in or out, and you have to do the schedule so far in advance, it makes it hard on you.
Caldwell County Volleyball's had a lot of success in the All-A Classic, and head coach Daniel Kortner said last year when he was told they were not in the All-A anymore, that left him about 8 games short because he had knocked out that many for regional All-A, state All-A, because every time you play a game, it counts on your limitation of games.
Right. Well, the second region is different. It's not as bad as the third region where you've only got 3 or 4 schools that are that size, but it's not the first region where half your teams are All-A size. So if you get knocked out early, let's say, Murray has a good volleyball team and they get upset, they can go and find other like schools of that size to make those games up and fill that gap in. But you're right. It does create a scheduling, a big scheduling problem when it comes to basketball because, you get 30 games. And you see, as we go along, you see teams dropping games because they may have went farther in maybe a Christmas tournament or went farther in the All-A. And, of course, it was the All-A that burned Trigg County, 18 years ago when they were ineligible for the postseason. They weren't expected to beat Crittenden County, and they did. And that was the one game that put them over. So you have to pay attention to those kind of things. And whereas – do you want to play 30, or am I better playing 25 and keeping my kids' legs? Or that's like Henderson's girls basketball. They've played 15 games right now, 15 or 16. They're 12-3.
They had a lot of games snowed out or weather postponements.
Well, and they're one of the districts that it's no go, no play.
Right.
So if you don't go to school in Henderson County, they don't play that night. And a lot of districts are getting away from that. I don't know if that's the reason why, but Henderson's not one. And so they're at 15 games right now. They should be
fresh,
based on the number of games.
Well, with our crazy weather anymore, though, it can be snowing in the morning and no school, but by the afternoon it might be 60 degrees and sunshine. I think we're about to see the opposite today. Well, not the sunshine part, but, we're going to be in the 60s today, and what are they calling, 19 degrees tonight for the low.
Yeah,
so
cold.
Yeah. Ready for spring, but still basketball season, though, and a couple of weeks to go. And, Michael, you get to have a bit of a homecoming of sorts next Friday. Livingston teams will be out here at the Cab.
Yeah, it's always fun coming back. We're bringing our freshmen and JV over this Saturday to play Caldwell. And then next Friday we play them. It's always fun to come back and get to coach in that building again. I had some good times there. I'm always rooting for Caldwell when they're not playing whoever I'm coaching. So.
We talk about the Cab, and to me it's still the new gym, but Caldwell County has actually played more years and more games in the Cab than we did at the Butler gym.
Now, see, that seems wild to me because I still look at that gymnasium as being new. That seems wild.
I mean, that's what I always think of at the Cab. It's like, hey, it's the new gym, but trying to think, was it 87?
My freshman year was the first year.
87, 88, I think, was the last year for the Butler building. I want to say that the year Caldwell won the district, which was 88, which was Michael Gray and you and Aaron's, was the last year in the Butler building. And then 89 was the first year, because that would have been my senior year, Scotty Civil's senior year, and that group.
It was my freshman year, so we were the first class in that building.
Now, if you ask Trigg County's girls, they'd rather go back and play in the Butler building. I think Trigg County's girls have won 2 games against Caldwell County in the Cab all time.
Now, I'll be honest with you. The Butler building has a better atmosphere than the Cab building does, just the way that's laid out. I mean, games are a lot more fun to coach and play in at the Butler building. I always liked the throwback games we had.
And the Butler gym was located downtown where a lot of people could walk to the games, so you ended up with a lot more people there to cheer on the team. And, the Cab gym is a little bit out of the way, probably a better facility overall, but it's just a little more difficult to get to, and I think sometimes it takes an effort to get there, where people who live downtown, well, they could walk 2 or 3 blocks and be at the gym and watch a game, and within 5 minutes walk home and no problem.
Always the hottest gym. It was like a sauna to play in the Butler building. It was just always the hottest gym for whatever reason.
But I can remember coming back and watching my Uncle Barry play a lot at the Butler building, and it was standing room only a lot of nights. I mean, people standing, almost on the sidelines.
Well, Caldwell County won some big games in there. Go back to the overtime game against Madisonville and Travis Ford. Go back to UHA and their international all-star teams that came in, and Caldwell won some of those. There was a Todd County team that came in one year that was ranked really high, and the Tigers beat that team. The Butler gym, like I said, it was hot and cramped, but it had some personality and it had some home court advantage to it, too.
It's some magic.
Yeah.
There was some magic there,
Harry Bird had some good teams.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He had some really good teams.
Well, I guess I was a little spoiled when I came through school because basketball was always really good. And even when I got out, the few years after that, it was really good. But if you look back through the entire history of Caldwell County sports, the basketball program here has always lagged a little behind football and baseball and doesn't have the record that some of the other sports has.
Yeah, and that's one of the things you fight, at a school like Caldwell County is the football, the basketball. And the baseball program's exploded in the past 10 years. You fight for fans, you fight for kids, you fight for money.
Fight for the kids is the big one.
Yeah.
Especially at a Caldwell, Trigg, size school and lower.
Yeah.
You're always having to fight for kids.
Getting back to the All-A thing, though, with Caldwell and Webster coming back, that really makes it tough on the truly small schools to try to compete. And like we say, University Heights kind of ruins that whole small rural school feel anyway, and the private schools as a whole in that All-A Classic. But it just seems like I guess there are fewer and fewer smaller schools now, but it seems like there are some pretty good-sized schools that end up in the All-A Classic, and that's not what I think it was really designed for.
Well, it began in northern Kentucky, and it was basically the small privates in northern Kentucky, the St. Henry's, the Covington Holy Crosses. It was the small private schools that were having to go up against Boone County, having to go up against Campbell County, Simon Kenton, having to go up against those large schools. So when you're in a large geographic or a metropolitan area like Cincinnati and northern Kentucky, you have a big pool of kids to draw from. So my small private school is going to be good because I'm drawing kids from Ohio and northern Kentucky and such. So when it was sold, it wasn't sold as a rural or tournament that would benefit the rural schools. It was going to benefit the private schools, basically. You had the West Hopkins, South Hopkins, Lyon County. Even Providence had some good teams. They're kind of buying into this, dog and pony show of, hey, it's small school and we got a shot. But the All-A has always been designed because that the private schools in northern Kentucky were the ones that benefited the most from that, and so it doesn't translate over into rural Kentucky, where I'm not in Hopkinsville in Christian County, I'm in Webster County, which is Providence, and I've only got these kids to draw from, and so I think I'm not going to say the coaches in the state were sold a bill of goods. But I think the allure of being a small school tournament, the All-A has always been a tournament for private schools.
Yeah.
Always has been, even from its beginning. And so, if you go to a private school, it's a great thing.
Yeah.
And if you don't, then you need to figure out how to get on a level playing ground.
Yeah, I guess I'm just looking for a way for some of the smaller schools, the smaller rural schools, to have some way to compete, because right now it seems like they really don't, and I guess that's why I'm a proponent of going to classes, at the end of the year, but the KHSAA freaks out anytime anybody, if you even mention classes, those people have, they just don't like it, let's say that.
Well, there's nothing wrong with the system, but we're going to tweak this.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with it, but we're going to tweak this. Yeah. And we're going to tweak this. And we're going to change this. It's history. Tradition. We don't want to mess with tradition, but you know what? Let's do this. Let's make it a Sunday afternoon championship game, and let's try this 15th super region over in the 15th region where everybody goes, and But hey, there's nothing wrong with the system. But let's tweak this and tweak that.
Tradition trumps everything except for these changes we want to make.
It trumps everything but the dollar bill.
Yeah, it's all about the dollar bill.
Yeah.
Michael Fralix and Scott Brown in the studio with us this morning, and we're about out of time on the Sideline Report. Guys, appreciate you coming in on a wet, rainy day, making the trip into Princeton to be on the show. And Michael, good luck to you. Congratulations on the job at Livingston. Congratulations on getting married. Thanks for fitting us in for all that, because I really appreciate it, and I hope you'll come back sometime.
Thank you for having me. I enjoyed it.
Yep.
Scott, anything else to add before you get out of here?
No. Again, you said it. It's a busy time, and appreciate everybody who's listening and going to the website at yoursportsedge.com.
Yeah, like I said, lots of content on there the last couple of weeks especially, and lots of plans for postseason coverage. So, yoursportsedge.com. Check that out. That's Michael Fralix, former Caldwell County and Western Kentucky basketball star, now coaching down at Livingston Central, and Scott Brown of WKDZ Radio and yoursportsedge.com. That's going to wrap it up on the Sideline Report. This is Todd Griffin. Thanks for listening on 1580 103.3 WPKY.
Serving Caldwell County since 1950. We're 1580, 103.3 WPKY Princeton.
News, I'm Rich Dennison. The House Intelligence Committee, now controlled by Democrats, voting today to send dozens of transcripts from its Russia investigation to the special counsel.
Committee Chairman Adam Schiff says the committee will reopen parts of the Russia investigation closed last year by Republicans and expand the scope beyond Russia to include allegations of financial interests driving decisions of the administration. Republicans say Democrats should vote to publish all the unclassified transcripts.
Fox's Jared Halpern on Capitol Hill. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo says ISIS has been pushed back significantly, but there's still work to do.
The recent suicide bombing and Manbij incident shows that ISIS remains